Crime, Mafia Monday. Detective Louis B., organized crime detective, my co-host on William Steel True Crime and Steel the Spotlight Television is back. Louis.
How are you, buddy?
Okay. We were just laughing about quite a few things. Now, your buddy Vic, your former partner in the organized crime unit in New York City, recommended this product here.
Got it right here.
And so, I don't know. It's become a thing because my fans are catching on, buying it. I may put an affiliate link here somewhere along the line, and you contact the company. We give you guys a shout out every time. This is the best thing since sliced bread for keeping you nice and moist throughout the day.
They're all over my house, in my car, on my night table, in my bathroom. I just use it constantly. It's like I think they put cocaine in it because I'm addicted to it.
Oh, no, you can't say those words on here. This is his opinion, and he's making a joke, YouTube algorithm.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Just a joke. But yeah, so things. I got my shirt on here, representing. Usually I'm dressed in the button up, but today I decided just to.
It's my Nike shirt.
Remind the people where I'm from. We have a ton of things going on, Lou. So Let me get to this real quick. So Silent Partners, we're going to be at the premiere. This is in Boca Raton, coming up here in a few days. Actually, probably in the next 2 and 3 weeks.
About a month.
And Silent Partners is a movie based upon a book that Dave Iacchevetti wrote. Dave Iacchevetti's father, Fat Dave, he was called, was a captain in the Gambino family. And do we have the book here to display still? I know we had it on here. I'm going to throw his cover up for him. I just re-edited the book for him, and I'm re-editing book 2. And he's working on 2 movies, and he's got me he notified me the other day, Dave did, that he's giving me roles in both of them.
How do you spell that last name?
Iacchevetti?
Yeah.
Iacchevetti.
Okay. Because I'm a retired organized crime guy, there are so many people out there. I see it there.
That's the book. And this movie that I'm in,
okay.
Thank you, Sarah DiPazio. You made Mob King. Gave me a tiny little role. I'm actually in a scene with Dave, the author of this book, at a card table, and I can't tell you much more than that, but it's not a lot. But you know what? We're doing a prison comedy called
Suitcasing. It's a start.
And we're doing a prison comedy called Suitcasing right after that. And you said because you were organized crime detective, what?
Yeah, I don't, they think, oh, did you ever meet John Gotti? Never met him. Did you ever meet this guy? Never met him. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people out there that they fly under the wire. You don't know everybody. It's impossible. Okay. And organized crime works in cells. There'll be a boss with his crew. And who's doing unions at the airport? Who's doing unions with the concrete? My particular case, the 2 cases that I worked, one had to do with organized crime controlling the Italian bread industry, believe it or not. They figured out how they can make money from that, telling people where they could sell their bread and so on and so forth by joining these associations that are legitimate corporations, but they're running a felony enterprise. The same thing happened with the private sanitation industry. And that's the big case that we took down. Vic and myself and a bunch of other guys, great detectives, that we got no credit for. Operation Wasteland. And hopefully somebody will pick up our story because we lived it for years on end. We didn't know what we were doing tomorrow till the end of today because we had to attend to the needs of the case. And this case was kept under wraps. Nobody knew what we were doing.
Yeah, and I know with your background, sort of when you were a kid, you could have made a choice, like many of us from New York, especially you with your background and your connections. You could have went down the wrong path, but you have many, many law enforcement in your family, including your father, and you decided to go down the correct path. And I think you never wanted to be on the organized crime squad to begin with. You kind of got stuck there.
No, I didn't want to do it because I knew what it was all about, and I knew at some point in time I was going to run into people that I knew, that I had respect for, that I rubbed shoulders with, that I went to school with, or their dads, and so on and so forth. I just didn't be involved in that. I didn't want to be put in that kind of position.
sort of like a catch-22. And you were part of a bigger operation, really, in that Wasteland case. It was enormous. So you went, and now you've just recently got back from Vegas. You're out there signing autographs. You've got a book coming out, and so we are definitely planning for a second event, the Silent Partners premiere in Boca. We're not releasing the name of the venue because I don't want tons of public to come at this moment, and it's a limited space, very exclusive event. However, 2 days later, we are lining up another venue, which I'm going to be sponsoring, and I want you definitely to be there. I think you agreed to hang around the extra 2 days. So we're going to do Silent Partners premiere on a Friday, and then on a Sunday, huge event. We're going to each have an opportunity to speak a little bit to whatever crowd's there. Maybe 10 minutes, introduce yourself, and then sit down and shake hands, take pictures, sign autographs, on your if your book's out by then, or
what's holding me up now is I'm working. I don't want to put it out too much, but a literary agent I'm using to help me who's got a big contact, and that's what I'm hoping that's going to be the home run, because respectfully, when you start doing this kind of stuff, everybody's got their hand out and they want to put it in your pocket. So I'm very, very careful as to who I'm dealing with, because I don't want to lose anything. There's so much involved when doing a book. I hope at some point in time somebody likes this book enough to want to make a movie out of it, just like the lady who did 50 Shades of Grey.
Right.
That was beautiful. Or the Harry Potter lady. Millions of dollars.
Right. Here's the thing. I do a lot of self-publishing, and because I was still incarcerated when my first book came out. Now, it did very well. It's about a person I knew who became the wealthiest serial killer in American history, Robert Durst. And this is an expose about him that I published in prison. If you look on the top on that gold bar, Nancy Grace covered this book on her podcast with my co-author, Gary Greenberg. He writes for the National Enquirer. And it was also featured on my TV show, Inmate to Roommate, on A&E Network. And so we went with self-publishing. But in your case, if you go traditional, you may actually get a decent-sized advance. But when they pay you royalties, they claw back the advance and all that. But so you have to weigh all that in the balance.
Keep in mind, this is all new to me. It's a learning process for me. I'm weighing out the odds and the evens all about it, and we'll see what happens. Yeah. I'm doing this. I had no idea that there were this amount of people interested in organized crime in police, and somebody clued me in, and it was Lisa Caserta. She's the one who's helped me out, and I owe the world to her. And thank God my wife supports me 10,000%, because without that, I don't know if I would go forward. She's really, you go where you have to go, do what you have to do. There's my girl, Lisa. She's like a member of my family now.
Now, for my audience, she was Henry Hill's wife. Henry Hill,
second wife.
Yeah, Goodfellas movies based upon that whole story of the Lufthansa heist.
She's the one who actually helped Henry Hill not become who he was, but become who he is. I just never in my lifetime did I ever think that I'd be signing autographs to people and that people would want to meet me. But apparently they do. I don't know.
Yeah. We tend to withhold horrible comments, and I forgot to send you a couple of screenshots. Maybe you recognize the names, but there's some people that was talking cash crap about you. They do it to me too.
Listen, that's fine.
They do it to me too. One of them was like, "Yeah, I'll tell you privately," but he doesn't know you. He just made an assumption.
Yeah, listen, they can do whatever they want to do. Okay.
They do it to me, and the network told me, your life's about to change. You're about to become very famous. The show airs next week. This is before season 1 of my A&E show aired. They gave me like a video thing, and they gave me a bunch of the guidelines about how to do an interview, what to say in an interview, and what not to say. Never give away a spoiler, blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay. And they said, if you have any trolls, give you a hard time online, we have a legal team that deals with that. Report it to the social media platform, report it to us. We have lawyers that take care of these things. And when the meeting was over, I'm a very quick study. I've been locked up 18 years. I don't know anything about social media, trolls, this, that, the other thing. They said, "You have any questions?" I said, "No, I got it all," and I took notes. I said, "I got one question. What the hell's a troll?" That shows you how much you lose.
You lose. Yeah, you lose. You lose.
Well, we have big news also here before we get into the stories we're going to cover. We do Wrongful Conviction Wednesday, Mary and I. And the guy on the left, Dave Reinhardt, finally, at a Fresno case, after 21 years, one of the corrupt judges in his case died. And so the appeal court is now agreeing to hear his case. This judge was blocking it for years because he was part of the problem. They finally are hearing his case. His family stole hundreds of millions of dollars from him. His sister lives in a $40 million house in San Francisco. And so Mary filed an amicus brief in their friend of the court brief because the same people victimized her and her mother years later. This lawyer, corrupt officials, corrupt, judiciary. And so this guy's finally in court. We're in there with him. We put out a press release, and there's that. And I do want to remind my audience that these may not always go up on a Monday. We're trying to learn to put things on a timer, and we're working on that to have them timed to go out at a certain time of day on Mondays. But Louis and I are doing this show right here. This is my guest right now, my guest host. So he's become a friend. He comes on whenever at the drop of a hat if we need to do other shows, if something breaking happens in the news. But generally, we're going to try to really focus on getting this show out very, very on time and consistently on Mondays. So it's called Mafia Mondays from WilliamSteel True Crime and Steal a Spotlight. And, by the way, Louis.
Yes.
On the wrongful conviction issues, we did the research. There's only 3 people, reality TV stars in the country, that are working very, very zealously in the field of wrongful incarceration, wrongful convictions. Who do you recognize up there?
How you doing, honey? You. I know. I see there's Mary and there's Kim.
Kim Kardashian, Mary in the middle, and myself. So
look, you're doing a wonderful thing.
I was amazed. And we're trying to, we have things in the works. We're attempting to collaborate with her on some California cases. So that's good. Louis, we're going to talk about first this Trump attempt on his life. Now, this is a newsworthy show. We don't even look at this as entertainment. It's disgusting what happened. To see a man who's been doing nothing but risking his fortune, his life, his freedom to help the country get shot in the head on national television and miss losing his life by a millimeter because of the incompetence and the catastrophic setup by the Secret Service, and God knows what was behind it. What are your feelings on what happened, and what are you learning?
My opinion, I'm letting the facts still come out, but I think it was an inside job. Somebody allowed that kid to get up on that roof.
Yep, I believe it too.
The question I have in my mind is, why did they take such an incompetent kid and put him up there? Okay. Now, I saw something yesterday that there was a lady behind Trump who was picking up a folder up and down and what have you, and she had a baseball hat on. She's part of the FBI. She's some kind of director. What is that all about?
Have they identified her by name publicly yet? Do you know?
Yes. I don't have the name. I saw it.
What's her job and what is she saying?
Some kind of director. I don't know if they've interviewed her yet.
Because she didn't panic. She didn't move. She just kept filming. She filmed. She looked like she was signaling. Shots started. Everybody's pandemonium, concern for Trump and their safety and going down a little bit.
Right.
She waits till Trump falls. Then she goes down to film him some more underneath.
Something's not right here. It smells.
Now, they have to know there's like a billion cameras on them, and if they're part of it and they're on camera, your actions of not panicking and being very calm and looking like you're signaling. I mean, maybe they were like, she's holding that up, aim, here's where we are, do it, who knows?
Back in the 80s, I was working in anti-crime in the 7th Precinct. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Vladeck projects. They're off Columbia Street. I believe it's Vladek's. Okay. One of the guys in Manhattan South Task Force they were driving through there in a van, and somebody came out a window and fired a shot at them. It missed the cop and hit the rearview mirror on the passenger side.
Mm-hmm.
They froze. They called for help. Everybody ran down there, and we're all around him. We're all hiding behind cars because we can't identify where the window is. Now, there's a big field. Coming across the field was an old Spanish guy who didn't understand English, and we were trying to tell him, get back. Don't walk out there. There's a guy with a gun. He didn't understand. So I came out from behind my car. I ran out. I put my hand behind his head, and I pushed him down, and I moved him right across the field, hoping that I had a vest on, of course. If a shot rang out, I was going to protect him.
Right.
When I stopped him behind the car, he opened up his coat and pulled a big butcher knife out on me. He thought I was trying to hurt him. Of course, I didn't do anything. I let him have the knife and told him to go home.
Poor Louis. Louis don't get no respect.
It's just the way things happen like that. But, it's very scary when you don't know where these shots are coming from. And, and for this lady not to get down and hide, it smells.
But also, the only part that makes me think maybe not is that who on earth would be directly behind someone that is about to get shot?
There's just a lot of
because
questions.
The bullets can miss, it can deflect, they can fragment, skull fragments, blood splatter, brain matter on your face. Who the hell plans to be? But that's the only reason I'm thinking maybe it's just not what it appears.
Back in 1992, the Democratic National Convention took, I believe, 300 detectives from the NYPD, and they put us through all the personal protection training. We learned how to drive. We learned how to protect the principal. You walked him in a box, and if the attack was to the right, so you push your head down, and you took them left or right. We went through all this here. And what I saw, and I'm not an expert at this, and I'm sure their tactics have changed a lot more since 1992. You definitely push the guy down, and you have to block his body with your body. Now, that guy standing straight up, I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know. I wasn't there. I hate to play Monday morning quarterback.
I'm gonna let you finish your thought in a minute, but an observation: I've never seen two females that were hired, evidently because this woke BS agenda. She made a statement she's going to hire more female agents. Okay, but not for close-in personal protection of a gigantic president. Okay, the one girl she was down and had Trump's full chest and head still exposed. So my understanding is they're supposed to get right up close and personal with him and be bigger than him to properly shield him. These females looked like they were scared and incompetent. One didn't even know how to holster her weapon.
What I can say, fear does crazy things to you. You could practice this a million times, but when it comes and you don't expect it.
Right. Like nobody knew how Trump would react. The average person would lay down and cower. He got up defiant. I saw the interview, the thing when he said on there, he said, look, I'm going to explain what happened one time at the RNC, the convention. He said, I'm going to explain this one time, and I don't want to be asked about it again because it's a very painful and hurtful experience. I'm going to get emotional because I like Trump, and it was horrible, and to hear him explain it in his own words. He said the reason he did that when he came up defiant, he said it wasn't to, prove he's a tough guy or anything. He said when he went down, I'll recap it. I'm sure you saw him speaking the other day, but he said there was a terrible pain and a noise. And I immediately put my hand and I looked and there was blood. I knew the only thing could have done that was a bullet. So I dropped like I was supposed to do. He said, but underneath there was a gap. And I was able to look out and see the audience. They saw me drop. I saw the look on their faces of horror, like they thought I had been killed. I came up for them. He said, that's why I came up to let them know I was okay. So he thought about everybody else before himself.
God bless him.
Yeah.
That was, in my opinion, a divine intervention.
Okay? Absolutely.
He's meant to be this president. God wants him to be this president.
I believe it, no matter what face.
I mean, he is who he is. He's a bit of a narcissist, and he says things maybe he shouldn't say, but he's a great leader. And that's what we need today in America, because we're losing the America that we used to know. This is not the America I grew up in.
Yeah, it's just like most of the experienced guys. I'm watching all these retired Secret Service agents, including Dan Bongino, who used to be on Fox.
Right.
And they're talking about this perimeter is generally a perfect circle of rings of security, right? In this case, they call us the Pac-Man perimeter. In other words, it looked like a Pac-Man because it had that big gap where the mouth of the Pac-Man guy is.
Right.
And in that gap was that perfect shooting platform, that building. He didn't climb it with a ladder. They said he scaled the side because there was pipes and there was ridging on the building, and as a young kid, he climbed it with the gun. He was spotted with a rangefinder an hour before. They took pictures of him, lost track of him. Why didn't they call to the Secret Service in the inside perimeter and say, hey, we've got a very suspicious guy. Delay this thing until we find him? Why didn't they sterilize the building? What they're supposed to do, clear it inside. Instead, they said they had agents inside. Nobody on the roof. She lies. The director, Cheadle, says, oh, they deemed the roof was too slanted to put agents up there. But the snipers, the agents, they were on a steeper roof than the one where that kid was. So all her excuses make no sense.
She's got to go.
She has got to go to prison, in my opinion.
She's got to go.
Yes.
How did she get to that position? Who hired her? She was the director of security for Pepsi Cola, as I understand it. I mean, you got to get somebody that was in the ring. You cannot learn to fight a fire by somebody that sits in their backyard and flips burgers on their barbecue.
Right.
You got to have somebody that knows what they're doing. A Dan Bongino who breaks this down and explains it. I had a conversation with Ignacio about, this is just my opinion. This is not my forte, but I don't believe that the Secret Service should be wearing ties and suits and what have you. They should be wearing loose-fitted garments with a shirt similar to this, black shirt. They should all be dressed in black with a loose-fitted waist-length jacket where they can have other equipment inside. Nobody would see it. And those jackets should be fitted with some type of Kevlar or anti-shooting stuff. I don't know if Trump wears any type of protection. From this point forward, I would have him behind bulletproof glass when he stood up. I think they're going to try it again. If they don't attempt that again, this is my prediction. They're going to kill the grid. We're going to lose election. Something bad is going to happen before this election takes place. I just can't put my finger on it.
Because the Democrats are incapable of playing fair. Let the people decide. Trump said, look, and he said this in the beginning in his own way, he wants to be a president for everybody. He doesn't want all his sides. If you disagree, okay, come in and try to change some policies. What they do is he comes in, they cancel out all the good things he put into effect, and now you're paying through the nose for gas. Nobody can afford gas. Nobody can afford groceries. It's, especially if you're living check to check. And this is all under Biden. And yet you still have people supporting this guy.
I don't understand. Did you? I was watching the RNC. Did you see his family? Trump's family?
Oh, yeah. Very, very
beautiful
very
family. Everybody's successful. Everybody's educated. His son, Barron, is a master chess player. He speaks numerous languages.
I'm not sure I spotted Barron. I mentioned
he wasn't there.
Right.
He's 6'9" today. I didn't know that. He's huge. Okay. Look at his wife. His wife is an absolute lady. She's a beautiful woman. Look at his daughters. Look at his sons. They're all successful. Then turn the coin over and look at Biden's family. They're just white trash. They're disgusting human beings that are raping this country for their benefit and gain. Yeah. And you know what? We're letting them get away with it. These people, if I were Trump and I became elected, all these people would be in jail. Sorry. Okay, he's got to get rid of the FBI. Not get rid of the FBI. You got to get rid of the upper echelon, who has.
I think the problems stem a lot of the Pittsburgh field office and the Washington field office were stacked with Democrat liberals, and all their investigations come right down from the White House. It seems like, and they go after all the political adversaries of the Democrats, and everything that the Dems do, like the documents in his garage. Now, Hunter Biden had a storage unit in Chinatown in Washington. Why? With top secret documents in it. Why? Why? So that you can tell the Chinese, hey, it's over there. Here's the key. Or here's my code. Get in. Make sure you wire $5 million to my account over here. I mean,
it's called corruption. Once again, it's organized crime.
Speaking of which, we interview a guy, Michael Mata. He's a guy of
I saw it. Yeah.
Portuguese descent. Now, he's very good friends with Armand Assante. He starred in the Gotti movie. I'll give you from left to right. So you have Bruce Sosa, A-list actor on the right. Very, very good friend of mine. You'll meet him here in Florida when we go down. Bruce is doing one movie after the other. Just did one with Rob Lowe. Armand Assante right there played John Gotti in the best Gotti movie ever made. Now, I don't glorify organized crime. I think it's a big mistake if you're in it. And they all, in my opinion, they all end up turning on each other, and nobody keeps the code and the oath or any of that crap. It seems like. So he played there. He's a phenomenal actor. He's actually, I think, going to be at the premiere also because he lives down there. He has a place down there. That's the guy. Yeah, he's got a place up north and another one in South Florida. And then you have Michael Mata there. Michael Mata is a businessman. Check out the show on this, everybody. He's been maligned by the Boston newspapers and his journalist up there. And on his business practices, which are really designed to help the homeless and the veterans. And this reporter has been going after him for years because he sponsors the Sopranos convention. And so she's got him. She believes he's an organized crime guy or something like that, it seems. And so there he is on one of his jets, or one of the jets they use with Bruce and Michael. So you talk about organized crime. These two guys are not organized crime. And a journalist has labeled Michael as some kind of scammer. He's very, very successful. He's got developments in Rhode Island and in Florida. I think, like any business person, he trusts workers to do some things. There were some issues with some of the issues performed, and he tries to make things right. Everybody who does things is going to make a mistake here and there. But anyway, I just wanted to give a shout out to there. You had some issues. We're talking about his jet. The jet he uses. What the heck's going on with TSA, Louis?
Okay. My opinion, I just went to New York, and I can't stand traveling. And it's not that I have a fear of getting on the plane and so on and so forth. The TSA is the biggest crock of baloney I ever saw. Okay? I have 2 metal knees. I'm going to go off when I go through the metal detector. When I walk long distances or I sit for a long time, I get very stiff. Right. So I use a cane when I travel. Okay? They take the cane from me like it's a bazooka. They're looking for – I let them do their thing. Okay? I take off my shoes. I do what I got to do. I take off this. I take off that. Now, they'll take a pen from you that they don't like. They'll take a nail clipper. You can have a $150 bottle of cologne. Where does this stuff go after they take it from you?
I bet if you went inside their homes, it ends up
absolutely
the choice material. They have big bins where they auction it off. I saw what they're supposed to do with it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if there's a quality knife or an expensive cologne or a beautiful Mont Blanc pen or something.
That's correct. My humble opinion. Okay. This is my opinion. This all has to change. You take something from me, what I should be able to do is put it in an envelope that I have to pay for, and it gets mailed back to my home. If you want to take it and hold it, you got to give me a receipt for it. Okay? When I was a cop, if I took something, cops did this all the time. They grab a guy and he's got a knife in his pocket. We take the knife and we threw it in the shoebox and went in the locker. We think nothing of it. Technically, okay, that's a larceny from a person. That's a grand larceny. It's not a robbery.
You have to at least issue them a receipt for what you took.
Exactly. Now, that should be vouchered for safekeeping or evidentiary material. Where is all this stuff going? That's number one. If you look at these people, they look like derelicts. Okay, they're fat, they're disgusting, they're very rude. They use their power, make-believe power, to make your life miserable. I do not go to Montgomery Airport anymore because they have it in for me there because I fight them all the time. I like to travel with a firearm. I use their rules, but every time I go there, it's a different story. Now, you have to take your firearm, put it in a box. It has to be unloaded. The ammo has to be separate and it has to be in a locked container. Locked. Okay, the last time I traveled, I used a bicycle, not a lock, a bicycle cable that locked and put it around my gun. Number one, when I come up there and I show that I have a firearm, they make me open it up in front of 3,000 people that are in the airport. Everybody knows I have a gun now. Now, they'll watch me put it in my bag. Now, if that person is smart, because I look for weakness all the time.
Right.
Okay. If you're watching me and you say, oh, this guy's got a cane, he ain't going to make it to the carousel. You make it to the carousel, you know what my bag looks like. Guess what? You're stealing my gun. Exactly. My humble opinion, when I say I'm carrying a firearm, they should take me in another room. And then I showed them, I explained it and this and that. Then after you do all that, then it's got to go through, you put it back in your bag, and then it goes through TSA, who makes you open it up and look at it all over again. In the realm of them saying they're enhancing public safety and holding down terrorism, for them to do it discreetly, like guys like you and I might suggest, and your great idea, right, makes too much common sense. They want to do it their way, and they want to alert 300 people that there's a loose gun in your luggage. And so if you go to the restroom, they maybe take it from your, if it's a carry-on, what do you got to check it or something? Or whatever. They get it from the carousel, like you said, the baggage carousel. It's gone. I mean, years ago, look, I did 18 years in prison. I was no angel, but years ago, we used to take a lot of luggage from carousels, take the label off, and walk right out of it. Listen, let me tell you something. The criminal mind is amazing. I know that guys in prison will count the amount of steps that a correction officer used. They know how many steps it takes to get to the rear door. They just listen. Yep. They look for weakness. I constantly look for weakness. Okay, that's a weakness. All right? Exactly right. I should not be doing that. Another time I went hunting. I had a rifle with me, locked up. I did everything I'm supposed to do. Now, that is supposed to go into an area. And when I come to the airport, that rifle that I had, it was a 270, which could reach out to 1,000 yards. That was supposed to be picked up in a certain area of the airport that nobody was supposed to know about it. What did they do? They threw it on a carousel. Anybody who's got a half a brain can see that was a firearm. It's in a gun case, which is absolutely insane. Right. Another thing, if you know what you're doing, you could get on that plane with a weapon anytime you want. Okay? Now, they're taking away from you cologne, hairspray. Okay? They'll take away your bottle of water. Why? Now, you go through all the TSA examination. You're walking through the airport, and you say, let me have something to eat. You sit down, you have a steak dinner. What do they give you with that steak dinner to cut the steak? They give you a knife. Yeah. I take the knife, I clean it, and I put it in my pants. Guess what I'm going on the plane with? A knife. Right. If you took, I don't even want to say this, but these are things that I know to do. If you took a credit card and ran it through a knife sharpener, guess what you have? You got a live razor blade.
So what else? What else? Without giving away secrets, Louis, what else? What other suggestions you have that TSA can improve upon?
Well, number one is the thing with guns. I had a TSA agent take from me 1 round of ammo, which he shouldn't have taken. This is in Montgomery Airport. I follow their rules. I don't want to give them a hard time.
Right.
But I'm on a hit parade in Montgomery Airport. And the last time I traveled going to Vegas, they wouldn't let me on the plane because they did not like the way I packaged my gun. They changed the rules on me. I had 8 different guys follow me to the plane. They can do whatever they want. I don't care.
It reminds me of the caliber of a lot of corrections officers and what you deal with. They just violate rights, and they'll sit there. A lot of them, and there's some good ones. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good ones. They usually run the good ones off the job, honestly, because they're good. They're trying to respect their own rights and safety while respecting yours and not giving you a hard time. But there's some that are just so corrupt. They'll sleep almost through their whole shift, or they're involved in bringing contraband into the other inmates. A lot of them are like this with gang members. They bring them in whatever. A lot of the females are selling themselves to inmates. And not all of them. Again, there's some good ones. And the good ones that want to put a comment in here and tell us about some of the corruption issues you've encountered, and especially if it ran you out of a job, that you stood up to it, or you wouldn't be part of it, or you reported it. But it sounds like the same type of people many times in the TSA. They're not as qualified as guys like you or even me, because I'm the same way. I'm forever assessing my environment. I've had people describe my condition as being hypervigilant. I'm very, very,
you have to be
very security conscious. I could walk into a place, assess it for vulnerabilities and improvements literally in under probably 5 minutes, or a quick walkthrough just about anywhere. I mean,
awareness, avoidance, aggressively escape. Okay.
There you go.
Now, you know what a Kubotan is. Okay.
Yep.
I have carried a Kubotan for 30 years. It's my keychain. My keys are on it. And 2 years ago, I was going to the airport, and this guy who happens to know me, I can't stand him, he can't stand me. I told him, there's going to be a day I'm going to walk in here, I'm going to knock him right out. Case closed. He just uses, you know what he says to me? You want to miss your next flight? Because it's a connecting flight. This is the power that they have. So you eat the humble pie.
Louis, we can't. I want you to show my audience what you're talking about. However, for the audience, we do not promote violence. And no. Louis, you got to know in your heart of hearts that's not the right thing to say to one of these idiots.
No. Well, this guy continually shows a pattern of disrespect.
I hear you. Okay? But still, they could abuse their authority and put the handcuffs on you just for saying something like that, probably.
You know what? Do it.
All right.
Okay? That's a Kubotan. It was in my bag that I was carrying on. Okay? They said to me, you can't have this. I said, what is it?
It's smaller than a pen, and there's nothing inside of it. I see them all the time, including on airplanes.
What is it? I don't know. Well, if you don't know what it is, my son is CBP. He says to me, if we come upon something that we don't know what it is, we can't take it. So I said to them, what is it? Oh, you can't have it. What is it? As far as I'm concerned, it's my keychain. Okay, because what I do with that Kubotan, I could do with a pen. I could do with any straight instrument. So they call their supervisor. He says, you can't have this. What is it? I don't know, but you can't have it. Well, if you don't know what it is, how come I can't have it? You know what they made me do? Now, I was going to miss my flight. They wanted me to take that and put it in my car. I gave it to my daughter, and she ran outside and put it in my car and then had to run all the way back. And then what they wanted to do to her was they put her through the machines again, which is fine, because she could have, came back in with some kind of weapon. And then they said they want to take her in another room to search her. I says, yeah, you're not going to do it. Now what? You're not taking my daughter into another room to search her. And we just walked off. They knew they were wrong. It's pure harassment. Okay? And when the guy took my ammo, when you carry a firearm, okay, you have to carry that gun duty ready, which means The magazine has to be full, and you keep a round in the chamber. Mm-hmm. So I had that extra round that makes the gun duty ready,
right,
stuck in styrofoam, and this idiot took it. And yet they say, "You wanna miss your flight? Okay, take it." And what he did was he took it, and when I came back, I got his supervisor and I got the police, and I wanted him arrested. This guy nearly died because it's a larceny from a person. It's a grand larceny. Right. He cannot take it. He has to call the police to take it.
Will they allow you? Did they allow you to file a police report?
No, what I did was I made the guy sweat, and I said, "Listen, I want him arrested." He was sweating. They gave me all excuses. They brought the big guy down. He's a new guy. I don't care. Then he's got to learn the rules. He's got to pay the price. I said, "Look, this is who I am. You know I'm retired from law enforcement. I'm not looking to give anybody a hard time, but you're not going to step on my rights." And that's the bottom line.
Let me ask you this. Are they getting away with this seizure with no receipt, no voucher at airports of the colognes and the over 1 ounce and all this nonsense and the pocket knives? We get it. We know there was people that put something in their shoe or tried to blow the plane.
Right.
We know all the reasons this is happening. But then the Patriot Act, right? It comes into existence. I don't even know if it's still around, but are they getting away with this in the name of Patriot Act or they're preventing terrorism? How on earth? Because it never occurred to me till you said it. Why are they not giving people that opportunity at that last moment? Put your own posters. Here's a posters machine. Here's the envelope. Here's the bin for all the outgoing stuff that we're not going to let on the plane. There's a bin for it. Mailman's going to
have a FedEx.
Mailman's going to pick it up from us 3 times a day.
You know what I mean?
It would be so easy. But no, they want to put big bins. They want to auction it off because that's what it's supposed to be, either destroyed or auctioned. And the stuff that's auctionable, they have lots of this stuff. I saw it somewhere, what they do with the stuff that's seized. But you know that these people are cherry picking and keeping what the hell they want because there's no paper trail.
Can I tell you something? I would.
Yeah, I think most of
the temptation is there. You know, a Mont Blanc pen is $300-$400.
Right. I think many people would. So, you know,
let's be honest. You know what I mean? But they're a useless entity. How many people have they stopped and have been arrested and were terrorists and this and that? You know, when I did organized crime work, I didn't go to Hispanic areas and black areas and Chinatown looking for organized crime guys. Now, it's criminal profiling. If the majority of these people are Middle Eastern descent from age 18 to 36, those are the people that I would key in on.
Exactly.
Okay. Why are you taking Sheila McGillicuddy, who's a 70-year-old lady in a wheelchair? She's pushing her through, you know, and you're going to turn this lady upside down.
They want to give the appearance that they're being neutral in their approach and all that bullshit. But it's not effective and it's not the facts. You see, El Al Airlines and all security services in Israel, they readily admit, of course we profile. We know it's not the little old lady with freckles on her face from France that's going to do something to us.
Correct.
We know what we're looking for. We know the body language, the nervous features, the lack of eye contact, the looking around, the sweating, impatience, all that stuff for these body language tells that give away what's going on. Then they have the facial tells if somebody's lying when they're getting interviewed before the flight.
My son is he works for CBP.
What's that?
Customs and Border Protection.
Customs and Border Protection. Got it.
He's uniformed personnel. He works in the airport. And if you ever seen that show to Catch a Smuggler.
Yeah, I've actually seen it.
That's what he does. They look at somebody, he's got the appearance or whatever. This is their profession. This is what they do. They know how to pick people out.
I started watching that show a few months ago, and I think some of the cases can be heartbreaking because you can tell when somebody put it in their bag, it really wasn't theirs. You can kind of tell when they're really torn up over it, and they're like, look, I was doing somebody a favor. I honestly didn't know, but what can you do? They're in possession of it. You're supposed to search your own stuff before you go to the airport, and that's it.
You have a responsibility to take care of your stuff. A lot of people are doing – I did a case back in the 80s where We did a search warrant, we kicked in the door, and there was a guy defecating. He was a mule. This is the first time I ever saw it. He was defecating 10 grams of cocaine in a pinky glove. They used 3 different pinky gloves. It's a perfect rubber gloves. It's perfect for 10 grams of coke.
Right.
And then they tie it off with dental floss. And he was defecating this. And the lieutenant that I was working with says, grab him. I said, he's taking a dump. He was a mule. It's the first time we ever saw it. Now, at the time, we were not allowed to get cavity. We couldn't do a cavity search on. You'd have to get some kind of search warrant for it. Now, what we did was we stayed with this guy in the airport. We all had to stay with him an hour. And as he defecated more, we had to take them, clean them, and voucher them. And you put the time, the date, and so on and so forth. That's the first time I ever saw that.
Now, again, for the audience and for YouTube, Louis, former law enforcement, he's given his experience with catching smugglers, and the language being used is not to promote this at all. It's to show what he's experienced in law enforcement and crime prevention, maybe ways to prevent it. If you have some suggestions, would be helpful too.
I'm going to tell you the truth based on the things that have happened to me. Now, that's the first time I ever saw that. Right. Now, we interviewed this guy, and he was Hispanic, and he was from Colombia, and they gave him $1,300 and a plane ticket to beat a mule. Right. And that was worth like 3 times the amount in Colombia. So he was going to go here, do what he had to do, drop off the stuff, and go back. So he made a ton of money. We talked to him. He says, you think what I'm doing is bad? The Colombians at the time were snapping up babies off the street, killing the babies and cutting them open.
Oh, my God.
And packing them up with cocaine, wrapping them up, and they'd have a woman put the baby in their arms and rock it back and forth and take it to a mortician over here who would open it up, take the cocaine out, and
I think the audience can visualize this. We're not going to. Yeah, so he's from a law enforcement perspective describing the horrific things that people do to smuggle contraband into various countries, and the things that can be done to prevent it. I'm one of these guys, I believe, in kind of decriminalizing small amounts of things. I think though that states that even tried that with marijuana are having big problems with it because the federal government still hasn't changed the laws. There's no banking in place for a lot of these places. And a lot of it's a big cash business. So a lot of these vendors of marijuana products are getting kidnapped and all that for their cash proceeds. So, Louis, I know we're running up against the clock a little bit here. Okay. You said you had some other things you were going to show us on screen and tell us what they were.
Okay. I'm going to go back to the 80s, okay, when I was a cop. Cops were different. They commanded respect. I showed respect. I commanded respect. I never got up in the morning and said, let me kill Bill Steele. Okay. If he ran, I'm going to that was never my intention.
Right.
Okay. I try to be as fair as possible. I never stole money. I would never take drugs off somebody and, flake them. That was not I played it straight. What I did was I was very heavy handed. Okay. We had certain paraphernalia that we carried that were, it was against department policy. One of those things was the jack.
Wow.
Okay? This is a blackjack that I carried at one time. I don't know if you could see it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a spring. There it is.
Hold it diagonal to the camera so they can see it fully diagonally. There you go. Corner to corner on the screen. No. There you go. Diagonal. There you go. Corner to corner.
Let me see if I can get it here.
There,
this is what it looked like. Okay. There's a spring in here, and there's a piece of lead on the end. Okay. And you wrapped it around your hand. We had a pocket on our pants called the jack pocket. All cops carried these here in the 60s and the 50s. This was, you were in close, and you had a problem, and you crack somebody, their head opens up very quickly.
Yeah, I think that could fracture a skull pretty easily, too.
It could. I mean, you just didn't walk up and crack anybody with a jack. this is a guy who was fighting you, and you know, you couldn't get to your nightstick or what have you. You got hit with the jack. Then we graduated. They didn't want us to carry jacks anymore, so we had what was known as a slapper. This is a slapper. This is solid, and it's got lead in here. I carried this for a while, okay, and it got people's attention. I cracked them real hard in the elbow. You know what I mean? Well, if I hit your elbow or hit your hand, you're not going to die.
Yeah.
You're just not going to be able to wipe your butt for about 3 months.
Now, look, I tell my stories for point of view of crime prevention, and I will say this: everybody knows I have a past. I did time for nonviolent offenses a very long time. And I think I told in the previous show my experience with one of those things and a cop.
Was it this here? Was it the slapper?
The slapper, yeah, that one. Yeah. So we had done something illegal. I believe it was a stolen car and police chase, whatever. So I jump out, police are running after me, maybe 2 a.m, alleyway in Brooklyn. I get hit in the back. It felt like somebody hit me with a fastball, with a baseball. It stumbled me for a minute, but I got out of there. I got away from this cop, made it home. I went back, break of dawn, probably, 5:30 a.m. to that same spot, looked around for whatever the hell this guy threw at me to see if it was still there. And it was one of those, and he lost his thing because he kept chasing me. But I found it, and I had it for years.
Souvenir.
But, man, I got hit. He threw it at me.
Now, we went to the police academy and we learned how to use a nightstick. And by my standards, what they taught us was primitive. But that's what they did back in the day. I have trained in Filipino knife and stick fighting, Kali Salat, Pinchak Salat, Arnis de Mano, Panarandada. These are martial arts that most people have never heard of. Right. If you recall, the Marines during World War II were called leathernecks. They were called leathernecks because they put leather collars on because the Filipinos, with a knife, were cutting their throats. Right. So these are very dangerous martial arts. They're not used in MMA or anything like that. They're severe. Now, when you come out of the police academy, you got a nightstick, okay? There's more authority at the end of this nightstick. You don't have to. I would never pull my gun. When this stick was in my hand, they knew I meant business. They knew this caused pain. Now, when you get out of the police academy, they give you a nightstick made of balsa wood, just about. The first time you hit somebody or you drop it, it crashes. This is a nightstick made of cocoa bola wood. Okay, every cop that was a real cop, a street cop, carried Coca-Cola stick. Okay? You wrapped it around your hand. Okay? I might have teeth mark at the end of this someplace. But this state was on my side all the time. We kept it on the inside of our door. The minute I got out of the car, if I was delivering a baby, this came out with me.
Did you carry that in the 7th precinct in the 80s when you first got started?
Sure did.
Okay.
We carried them forever.
I was a frequent fixture in that area in those days, unfortunately.
Okay. And, I had it all the time. Okay. And, that was part of our attire. This is part of our equipment. Now, this is a nightstick made of what's known as lingam vitae wood. Lingam vitae wood. I had this made after this is a souvenir. I had this made after I retired because I always wanted one, but I couldn't find one. It's very expensive wood. It was used for bow rails on ships, and it was used for propeller shafts. This is like getting hit with a steel pipe. Okay? Now, I didn't go around cracking people's heads.
Some of those woods are so dense that they'll actually sink if you put them in water.
The lingam vitae stick is just absolutely amazing. This is a piece of furniture for me. I got them hanging on my wall.
Louis, we are up against the clock.
Okay.
Finish up your thought here in 30 seconds or so, and let's sign off.
That's policing, not this nonsense that they do today. We're going to wrap them up. We're going to, what they're doing is they're teaching cops to get hurt.
Right.
They don't care about the cop. They care about the perp because they're afraid of a lawsuit. Get rid of those stun guns. They carry ASPs now, which are expandable batons. They're okay. You can work with them, but it's training. Police are very, very undertrained today.
And they got rid of the tasers, the one that have projectile darts.
They have them. I would never use those. I was never a fan of the mace either. Okay, you take it out, and you sometimes they went bad on you. You go to spray it. It was just not for me. I was a hands-on kind of guy.
All right, Louis, with that thought, we're going to wrap it up. We will see you soon in our next episode, and we're going to be silent partners together.
Always a pleasure. Yeah, we're going to be there.
We're going to do our own event.
I'm really looking forward to meeting a new crowd down there. And, I'm in a new world. I'm enjoying it. I thank God for me meeting you. I thank God for Fran.
Yeah.
For hooking us up. I told her we're going to be married in a couple of weeks, you and I.
How's your wife feel about that?
I'm twisting her arm to come with me to Silent Partners, and I think she's going to come.
All right.
That's going to be awesome. I cannot wait. All right, my brother. God bless you. God bless Miss Mary. Say hello to Mom.
Thank you.
Does Mom need a Kubaton?
Mother-in-law. I'll talk to you about that on the phone. Everybody, thank you for joining. Check us out. Look for Silent Partners coming out, I believe, in theaters and streaming in just a few weeks. And thank you for joining us. If you like the show, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment. All that interaction with these shows means a lot to the algorithms. It pushes it out in front of more people, and we get more exposure telling our true crime stories and our crime prevention ideas. And from our experience, we think they're helpful. Thank you for joining.